Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services here this afternoon, we would kindly ask if everyone would please turn off or silence all electronic devices. Thank you.
Shalom, everyone. I am Rabbi Gary Gans. I'm the Rabbi Emeritus of Congregation Beth Tikva in Marlton. I'm sad but honored to be with you here today for the occasion of our acknowledging the life and the death of Marty Belsky. You saw that we had a big crowd just before our public ceremony began, where I cut the ribbons. They represent the sense of loss, emotionally, perhaps physically. And there is a code that children, biological and blended, wear the ribbon on their left-hand side. At one time, we thought that's where the heart was located. And for a parent, it's always on the left. And for every other relationship, it is on the right-hand side, including the ribbon I cut for Daniel, the ribbon I cut for Teresa. And then we said a prayer together, acknowledging God who gives, but also takes away. And that is what our purpose here today is, as a community of consolation, of support, of comfort, to support the immediate family, and then the extended family and friends and each other here today, to represent the best values that Marty represented, to share with you all. On his behalf, I read, Ma'ayan HaChayim, wellspring of life. We've come together, sharing our sorrow, to commemorate Marty's life. We recall the blessing of his life. We thank God for all that was good and true in his life, and for the precious memories which shall endure. Eternal God, his family, bowed in grief, seek light to dispel the dark gloom which threatens to overwhelm them. Be gracious to those who mourn, for they are in distress. Bless them with your compassion. Ease their burden of sorrow. Send them light and peace, for it is written, Fear not, as I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will sustain you with my power. And let us say, Amen. In his honor, in his memory, I'll be reading from Psalm 23. A common psalm for both Jews and Christians and others who know the power of these words. I'll be offering the first texts in the traditional Hebrew and then move to an interpretation in English. Psalm 23. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsar, benodesha yarbitzeni, Al mei menuchot yanachaleni. Nafshi yeshovev. Yancheni b'ma'aglei tzedek l'ma'an shemo. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God has me lie down in green pastures and leads me beside the still waters. God guides me on paths of righteousness and revives my soul for the sake of God's glory. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod do comfort me. You set the table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in the house of the Lord forever. As part of this community of caring, we focus our empathy on Teresa, his wife, on his children, Danielle, Aaron, with Rachel, Samuel, Renee, Zachary, Dylan, Jerry, and Mackenzie, as well as Ryan, Michaela, and John. And we also reach out to his siblings, Cheryl with Michael, Marcy with David, Adam, and Linda with Ronald. And we especially reach out to his father, Dr. Daniel Belsky. There are grandchildren, Melania, Axel, Eli, Roman, and Sonia. And your collective task that I offer to you to accept today is to continue to speak to them, especially the grandchildren, about their grandfather, about his generous, loving, kind, and generous persona. He played the guitar, and he loved Jerry Garcia. In fact, one of the grandsons is wearing a Jerry Garcia tie. He attended sports events. He loved being a doctor, never complained about the hours. And the Eagles were very tough to love today. And the Phillies were only questionable how well they're going to do when they move forward. But he was a fan, and I enjoyed looking at the collage of pictures that was running, and I saw that he was wearing his Eagles jersey in one of those pictures. Eagles fans are always optimistic and hopeful. I understand that he went camping, and he loved going to concerts, loved life, drove cross country with his friends, and attracted you to be here today to remember him and support his family. I have a text that I read commonly for members of my own congregation and my own family, my own parents. This speaks about the understanding of life that comes to closure, comes to completion. It was written several thousand years ago by a rabbi and scholar named Ben Sirach. I offer to you his words, echoing through the eons in translation. We are all destined to die. We share with all who ever lived, with all who ever will be. Cry for the dead. Hide not your grief. Do not restrain your mourning. But remember that continuing sorrow is worse than death. When the dead are at rest, let their memory be a source of peace, and be consoled when the soul departs. Death is better than a life of pain, and eternal rest is better than lingering illness. As a drop of water in the sea, as a grain of sand on the shore, our few days in eternity. The good things in life last for a short time, but a good reputation, a good name endures forever. Prior to the public ceremony, I saw a sense of joy that you had connecting with each other. Yes, we're here for a sad reason, for a sad purpose, but you have spent time together joyfully, and will in the future again. And I recognize your connectedness from before the ceremony started. There's a wide range of belief, understanding, emotions taking place here today. And I read from the book of Ecclesiastes, it represents this wide spectrum. For everything, there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. We have a number of individuals who are going to be speaking now. Later on, and I'll explain how that's going to work, Aaron is going to be coming up and reading the Mourner's Kaddish just before the end of the ceremony. But I call first on Dylan Belsky to please come up.
Thank you. All right, hello everyone. I'm going to be taking out my phone real quick, but not to look anything up, but rather because I prepared a decently long note to guide me through essentially what I'm going to be going through. And it's going to be a little lighthearted, you know. I feel like, well, he is watching us. He doesn't want us all being upset, you know. He wants us to celebrate his life. So this might be a little all over the place, but bear with me. We'll get through it. So let me first say that very young, I remember my dad being very present in my life, very supportive, hung out with me as much as he could. One such memory is being on the deck. Our house had a wooden deck in the backyard. He loved being out there. When I was very young, I loved wiffle ball. I loved baseball, right? If you remember those skinny yellow bats, you know, I'm like 4 or 5 years old. Can't hit a ball with that thing. So we had this huge orange plastic bat. This thing was like Barry Bonds-esque, like, and he would, you know, toss me meatballs, you know, easy things to hit, and I'd crack them over the deck, you know. If it ever hit the tree, he'd say, "Tree bomb." If it hit the roof, "Roof bomb." You know, he'd call over to the neighbors, like, "Look out." And that's just something I'll never forget. Something else kind of funny is when I was younger, I always wanted to be like him, you know, how most children are. I remember him shaving. I'd have my own little plastic razor. I'd put shaving cream on my, you know, 5-year-old face and just, you know, go crazy with it. And, but I was always trying to, like, be smarter, you know. He was an endocrinologist. I would ask him as complex as questions as I could understand, just because I wanted to know what he knew. And when I was a kid, my favorite subject was math. So I'd be asking him math questions, you know. I always wanted to be ahead of the curve. You know, we're learning addition, subtraction. I'd be like, "Dad, what's next? You know, let me know what's next." And when I was in elementary school, he went as far as telling me about square roots, cube roots. I'd show up, I'd wow everyone, you know. Like, they can't do a 12 by 12 times table, and I'm telling them, like, "You know what 3 cubed is?" You know? They had no idea what the hell that was. And when I was younger, I believe 3rd grade, I just saw the piece of paper in my room yesterday. At the end of the year, we didn't have a yearbook. You just had like a piece of paper, everyone would sign their names or whatever. And a few kids in that class, they called me the Math King. They were like, "Math King." And my dad thought that was so funny. He still called me that, actually, like, now, you know? Like, I'd come home, he'd be like, "How's the Math King doing?" And it's just kind of funny because, you know, eventually everyone knew what a square root was. You know, I'm in college, I'm in high school. I wasn't really the Math King anymore. I was like, "Dad, they caught up. You know, I'm not far ahead, the smartest in that anymore." And so now I'm going to be talking about the Eagles. Huge Eagles fan. I consider myself to be very passionate, very competitive, and a lot of that is because of him, you know, stuff that he instilled me with. We never left an Eagles game early. I remember being told of a story of an Eagles-Seahawks game where I believe we were down like 40-something to 3, and Jerry was freezing cold, and they stuck it out. They stuck it out to the final whistle. And also, we would rarely ever stop watching an Eagles game. So it extended to not just physically being there. We never gave up on this team. And if you remember the miracle at the New Meadowlands that ended with Jason Jackson returning a punt return after we were down by many, many points, after we gave up the last touchdown to the Giants, Jerry and I were like, "Dad, like, can we play Xbox?" We were like, "Dad, this game's over." Dad said, "We're not turning this off." Jerry and I were like, "You kidding me? Like, this is over? Like, we don't want to watch the Giants beat us?" But thank God we didn't turn that game off, let me tell you. I'm very glad we kept it on, and that I'll never forget that. You know, it's just like never give up. You know, now I never give up in really any facet of anything. You know, because I think I almost turned that Eagles game off, and I would have missed one of the greatest memories of my life. You know, and I'm also the Eagles winning the Super Bowl is arguably the happiest memory of my entire life. Period. You know, like that's how much I love the Eagles, and he was there with me. You know, we were all watching that game together, so I'm eternally grateful that he at least got to see that because he suffered through more bad Eagles play than I've been alive. You know, I was actually talking to Jerry about that the other day, so I'm very happy he at least got to see that. Continuing from sports, he used to take me and Jerry to chip and putt. There was like a mini golf place near our house, but they had this thing called chip and putt, which I've honestly never seen anywhere else. It was like the coolest thing ever, and it was like a little more events. It was very fun, and he used to take us there all the time, and it was great. He would always be at our Little League games, Little League baseball, rec basketball. He always wanted me and Jerry on the same team, and anything we did, if we said, Jerry, like, Dad, like, we're going to go play a game, he'd say, same team? And if we said no, he'd be like, ooh, like every time. It was literally always it was the same repeated conversation, nothing different. And then on the off chance it was a yes, he'd be like, yes, ah. And I remember we were on the same rec basketball team one year, and the last game of the season, the other team was down like a bunch of players. They had like no one. So our team had to give them 2 players, and they gave the other team me and Jerry. And we ran it up, I'll have you know. Dad got to see us run it up, and I remember after the game, Dad was like, what were they thinking? You know, what were they thinking giving you 2 to the other team? I was like, Dad, like, they had to give 2 people. Like, it made a lot of sense. He told me to wear a smile no matter what. He told me that even if you're having a bad day, it's, you know, you don't have to spread that around, you know. Someone asks you how you're doing, someone cut you off in traffic, you don't have to complain about them, you know. You can just be like, look, you know, I'm living life, I'm happy, you know. He didn't like video games, as he called the brain rot. He said, I don't like the brain rot, but despite that, he was extremely supportive of me. I compete in video games now. He was always very supportive. I never brought him to an event, but now he's going to be able to see me, you know. Like, even though he's not with us, I know he's seeing us. He's going to be watching everyone, so he will be able to see me compete now. Anything I didn't get to show him, he now knows about. You know, I feel like it's important to have as few regrets as possible, you know. So as much as it's like, oh, you know, I wish I brought him, you know, when I went to Virginia, you know, he now knows about it. You know, he now knows about it. I'm eternally grateful to be raised by such a kind man. Notably, when I was very young, I was sitting on a stool with no back, just 4 legs, and I was rocking around on it. He's playing the guitar. He's like, Dylan, stop rocking on that stool. And, you know, I'm a dumb kid. I ignore him. And I fell. I still remember as if today. I remember falling, like free fall. And with his one free hand, he caught me. And from that point on, I never rocked on a stool again. But I should specify stool because chairs with backs I did rock on. And my mom would say all 4 legs on the ground. She'd say all 4 legs. And one time she went away and I was rocking around and I fell back and I was like, oh my God. And my mom, she was like, I told you, all 4 legs on the ground. So now I don't rock on anything. Nothing. No back, stool, no stool. All 4 legs on the ground. And the other thing is he isn't completely gone. You know, like, what I like to think is that he just left Earth, you know, if we're going to get to the brass tacks of it, because it's about the spirit, you know. Like, we're all here. You know, you can get injured. You can go through surgery. You are your soul, you know. I like to think that our bodies are simply like vehicles for us getting around, you know. Like, we were put in these bodies for whatever reason. God knows what he's doing. And this is just another step of the journey. So, you know, I know we're going to see him again, but even still here, he's still here, you know. So many countless lines, you know. A working man works, moving on out, moving on home. Everybody ready? Let's Tyler. I know that I'll see him again. I know that we will all see him again. It's very saddening, but I believe everything happens for a reason. God is the best planner. It's not our job to ask why. It's our job to keep going. Goodbyes are a part of life. They're never going to go away. And a quote that I like to reflect on if I'm ever really upset, something happens to me, is accept what you can't change and change what you can't accept. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Dylan. Now I call on Ryan.
I thought I was ready to be up here, but I should have gone first. Thanks, Rabbi. For those who don't know me, my name is Ryan McDermott. I am Marty's stepson. I do have something prepared because I have to stay focused or I'll go off track. So my lack of eye contact is not disrespectful. It's just I don't want to miss anything. I just want to thank you all for taking the time to come out today, spend time with our big family. It is unique. Many of you knew Marty in different ways, as a brother, a physician, a friend, a colleague. I hit the lottery. I got him as a stepfather. But this English word is limited in the depth this man changed my life. Martin K. Belsky changed my stars. He granted me opportunities I otherwise would not have had. I don't know if I would have gone to Drexel, met my wife, had 2 lovely kids. I took out massive loans before the financial crisis to go to this school only because I knew I had Marty in my corner. As a father, as a kid, just as a human, I tell you, having somebody believe in you and in your corner is very important for the next generation, for civilization, just general godly behavior. We all need someone to believe in us. Sometimes I like to think my success is due to my own choices and actions. And I do say that. But the truth is, the reality is, we are uplifted by those around us who make sacrifices to put us in positions and situations that we have the tools to do the right thing. So, seeing this guy, first day, help others in everyday life, recognizing a patient at a toll booth, at Wawa, at a theme park. This guy is stepping away from his family to talk to these random people. I felt a certain way. I was like, why are you doing this? But I was young and naive, and this was his calling. This is what he was meant to do, and I think he was supposed to show us all how to live life. So we're not competing. We're not judging each other. It's not how much money we make. That's not your impact in this world, okay? Do not define yourself by your job, but define yourself by what you do every day, how you change your life, how you can see a problem. God put you in that situation to fix that problem. If you have the ability to help somebody and you see them and you walk away from that, Marty would be very disappointed in you. So, to stay positive here, right? Helping those who can do nothing for you, it's a true sign of character. I didn't make that. I don't know who said it, but it's true. And he was a character and a healer. I'm so going to miss hearing third in season on week 4, Thursday night football game. You know what I mean? And if they don't get it, it's now 4th in season for some reason. But my sister reminded me, Mackenzie, that Marty would say bat every morning. Brush hair and teeth. So, what is it? B-hat. So, if you want to continue Marty's lingo, take that with you. My fond memory of Marty, there's many, but one of the best was learning what a Chinese fire drill was in the middle of traffic in Philadelphia on Vine Street. And for those who don't know what that is, so everyone gets out of the car and you all run back into the car at a different spot. It really makes a lot of sense when everybody in the car can drive. So, okay, when you see a guy get out of the car with a lot of kids, everybody's running around the car, and he has to get all the way around the car, before the light changes. That's how I want you to remember my stepfather, that even though he was running around, doing the best he could, he was laughing, and he was enjoying every minute of it, and if he wasn't with us at moments, I know that he would have definitely wanted to be there, but he was doing whatever he could so that we didn't struggle or go through the same things he had to go through. So thank you all for coming. Sorry for crying. I didn't think I was going to cry.
Thank you. Now, Dr. J.J. Fallon. Yes. please join us.
Thank you. I really didn't know I was going to be called upon, but I can tell you this, I'm glad. Marty worked his ass off. He was just a hard-working guy, helped a lot of people, very smart, diligent, stayed up late, did a bunch of good stuff. You couldn't be a better doctor. I was lucky to be partners with him. Dr. Sobiechik was here. He was a partner with us. And the three of us worked hard for many, many years and did much good. So all I can say, just Marty was a damn good doc, a guy who you want to emulate, just like his kids say. And I'll see Marty in heaven. Thank you.
I was also sent a letter to read at the time that Marty was retiring. I'm honored to read it in the name of Shalinda Adams. Dear Dr. Belsky, as you embark on this new chapter of your life, I wanted to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for the exceptional care and dedication you've shown me through the years. Your unwavering commitment to your parents, your patience, coupled with your expertise and compassion, have left an indelible mark on so many lives, including mine. While your retirement marks the end of an era for us as patients, it also signifies a well-deserved opportunity for you to enjoy the fruits of your labor and pursue your passions outside of medicine. Your impact will be felt long beyond your time in the medical field, as the legacy of kindness and excellence you've built continues to ripple through the lives of those you've touched. Though you may be stepping away from your practice, please know that your influence and warmth will be greatly missed. You've not only been a remarkable doctor, but also a trusted confidant and a source of comfort during times of uncertainty. As you embark on your new journey, may it be filled with joy, fulfillment, and countless adventures. Thank you, Dr. Belsky, for everything. Wishing you all the best in your well-deserved retirement. With heartfelt gratitude, Shalinda Adams. I bring us now to a prayer known as the El Malei Rachamim, God full of compassion. Even in times of sadness and sorrow, we acknowledge God as our source of strength. During this prayer, I also will be using Marty's Hebrew name, Moshe ben David, Moshe the son of David. I ask as a courtesy all those who are comfortable to kindly stand as I recite this prayer in Hebrew and then the English translation. If you're comfortable, please stand. El Malei Rachamim, Shochem Bam Romim, Hamtzei Menucha Nachona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina. B'ma'alot Kedoshim Toharim, Gezohar Arakia Masirim, Et Nishmat Moshe ben David, Shalach Lo'olamo, Began Eden Tehei Menuchato, Ana, Ba'al HaRachamim, Hastirehu Beseter Kanapecha, La'olamim, Utzror Bitzror Chaim et Nishmato, Adonai Hu Nachalato, V'yanuach B'shalom HaMishkavo V'nomar, Amen. O God, exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the soul of Marty Belsky, who has gone to his eternal home. Master of mercy, we beseech you, Remember all the worthy and righteous deeds that he performed in the land of the living. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. The Lord is his portion. May he rest in the tranquility of shalom, of peace. And let us say, Amen. I invite you to be seated for a few moments. I mentioned earlier that there was going to be a presentation by Aaron. Aaron is going to introduce and then deliver the mourner's Kaddish, at which point I will ask you all to kindly stand again, but not yet. You should know there's a several thousand years old tradition that an individual would call their oldest son their Kaddish. What does that mean? That means the person who will say the Kaddish ultimately for you. And even if your child's a baby, that's how you introduce this new baby to all those around. And especially so as an adult. The person is known as the Kaddish. So I'm honored to welcome Aaron to come up, speak for a few moments, and then when we transfer to the Kaddish, I'll motion for you at that time to please stand again. Aaron?
All right. Thank you all for coming. I have a couple remarks here, not as lighthearted, but I just put it together kind of quick this morning, so excuse me. My dad was a complicated person. He was a brilliant doctor, a loving brother, son, husband. Most of all, he was a proud and caring father and grandfather, or Peepaw, as my son Eli would call him. He was the smartest person I ever knew. I remember always being so amazed by his photographic-like memory. He would memorize phone numbers and addresses just by hearing them one time. I thought it was amazing. He was really technology averse. I remember he would proudly have a flip phone even in 2022, and just had to get the smartphone recently because of his job. But his brilliance also extended to his humor. He was always so sharp, witty, and hilarious. Never failed to make me laugh. Had such a great sense of humor and a fun personality. One of the many things he passed on to me and his kids, along with his love of sports and, loves the Eagles, Philly sports fan, all that. He also passed on his love of music. As been said, his favorite band was the Grateful Dead. I remember he literally cried when Jerry Garcia died. I remember that. He once drove cross country with his friends when he was in college. I think he got in trouble, when he came home late. It was in the morning. Grandpa was getting ready to go to work. Let me see what else. Yeah, he was a prolific songwriter. He would have songs for each of his children, something that he also passed on to all of us. A lot of us, which I thought it was pretty cool. And as Dr. Fallon said, he was an accomplished endocrinologist, ran a successful practice for many years. He was always stubborn and independent. He always said he never wanted to work for anybody else but himself. The old ostrich pride, I suppose. But he had many patients who loved him, and he helped many people. I always remember when I was a kid, he would, during my soccer games, somebody would go down, he would, run on the field, and I would be proud of him. But yeah, he loved all his kids dearly. A lot of fond memories. He was always so goofy, I put in here, when we would go down to the beach, he would make a poop castle and dig to China and make an order for Chinese food. And when we were little kids, he would pretend to block for us, pretend to block for a 1-year-old so she could score a touchdown. So in a lot of ways, that's what he spent his life doing, working hard, caring for his patients, providing for his family, guiding us in times of need, doing everything he could to raise 11 kids the right way, blocking for us all so we could score a touchdown. And then I have this. So as the rabbi indicated, he did call me Kaddish, and for as long as I can remember, he would tell me when he died I would say this prayer. So, it's kind of morbid to tell a kid that, but I think he was just proud to have a son. So, Yit Gadal V'Yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah Ba'alma Divra Cherute V'Yamlich Malchute B'Chayachon U'Vyomechon U'Chaye Decho B'Yit Yisrael Ba'agala U'V'Yeman Kariv V'Imru Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Alumei Almaya Yit Barak V'Yish Tabach V'Yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam, V'yit Naseh, V'yit Hadar, V'yit Haleh, V'yit Halal, Shemei Dekudashah, Baruchu, Le'ala, Min Kol, Baruchata, V'shirata, Tushbachata, V'nechamata, Ta'amiran, Ba'alma, V'imru Amen. Yehe Shalama, Rabba Min, Shemaya, Shechaim, Elenu, Ve'al Kol, Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom b'mirmav, hayus aseh Shalom aleinu ve'ekol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
This is yours too, I think. Oh, excuse me. I welcome you all to be seated once again. Following the conclusion of this service, and we are coming to the end now, everyone is invited back to Teresa's house for what is called in Jewish tradition the meal of consolation. Any potential donations in Marty's memory will be welcomed to be given to the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, which has slightly changed its name, but this is one that we remember the most. As we approach now the holiday this week of Rosh Hashanah, beginning of the new Jewish year, spiritual year, may you be filled with opportunities to hold on to Marty's memories. May you go with health and happiness. May Chayil El Chayil, from strength to strength, as you continue to hold on to him and to rebuild your lives. I conclude with Amen. Josh?